Item number 4, action on the Meridian Road structure, environmental modeling and permitting issue. We had discussed this over the last couple of meetings. Last meeting in particular, we talked about how the small structure on Meridian Road that appears to need some replacement due to the increase in traffic covers a watershed that actually requires some modeling done in order to get the permits. Is that, Brent's here, Brent, is that essentially what we're talking about?
Yes, due to its location in the city of Mitchell, proximity to a quote, urban area, the Department of Natural Resources requires modeling done to provide a justification for their decision relative to the permits.
Okay. And you have put together a proposal for us. It calls for $30,500 that will cover survey work, permit work, hydraulic modeling work.
That is correct, yes. The survey is necessary to model the channel and the drainage area in the proximity to the structure. You have to have that shaped out so that the modeling can be done. Once the modeling is done, which establishes the appropriate size for the opening, then the permits can be filed and secured.
Okay.
What kind of time frame are we on?
I believe on the agreement, if you look at, okay, and I don't recall, I can look it up for you all, but I believe there's a schedule on the permit that has the days indicated for each item.
Right. I don't know how it's gonna be done, and you won't know until it's actually surveyed.
Yeah, that is one of probably the wild card element in the whole thing is how long DNR takes to process the permit once the information is provided to them. And that's typically months rather than weeks.
And right now, this is not classified as a bridge, right?
That is correct. By the Indiana Department of Transportation standards, a structure that has an opening less than 20 foot along the center line of the road is considered a small structure rather than a bridge. It has to be 20 foot or greater to be classified as a bridge. It's one of those technical definitions, but
right now, it's actually the city of Mitchell. It's inside the city of Mitchell. This is not on a county. It's not.
No, it's
that is correct. However, if it were classified as a bridge, if that span exceeds 20 feet, the county becomes responsible for it regardless. In the state of Indiana, with few exceptions, all bridges on roadways are the province of the county.
So if we move forward with this, where is the funding going to come for a bridge project?
We don't know what it's gonna be as far as the structure.
Right, but once you get to that point, how would you fund it? If you pay for the study and then you get to the point of needing a bridge done, where's that funding?
Scott, I guess I was anticipating we were going to pick it up as the redevelopment commission as part of treating the structure as something that's been impacted by the Lehigh project's construction traffic. And that's just an assumption on my part.
Well, I don't know. I mean, to me, it seemed like the shell building kind of went off the radar, of course, several months last year, and now that it's back on. I just didn't know where. Do you want to utilize that money and then borrow money to do that, or do you want to utilize some of them funds to save interest? Because you're going to be looking at, you're still going to have bank utility bills, you're going to be looking at issuing bonds, you're going to be paying interest rates, you're going to look at closing costs to share with the city of Mitchell. And I don't know when our projected revenues will even start coming in. I hate to see us spend ourselves broke in the middle of if you build a 50,000 square foot building, you can probably get $100, but I don't think you'll get it done for $100 million, you're looking at $5 million.
Yeah, I think shell building's probably going to be at least $4 million. So,
I mean, that's only my concern is how long are we going before we have projected income to carry us through? How many more projects do we want to take on like this? And then you've got the outlying Marion Township commitment that we kind of put on hold also.
I can tell you that I've discussed this with the mayor of Mitchell, and I think maybe you. We talked about when we paved the road, we milled the bridge, the existing bridge stop, because you can't add weight to a structure that's actually not sound yet. And if we have to, we just put a load limit on it. Being less than 20 feet, looking at it theoretically, if you put a 16, 20 ton load limit on it, and I don't know what it will withstand, that's you done the inspection, you'd have to tell me. But that'll get us through what we did. That bridge part is gonna be 200 plus, you know, that you're gonna look at down the road, so.
And we just done a 300 blacktop. I mean, that million, what, Jeff can probably elaborate, we transferred what, about $1,217,000 a couple of years ago from the county council. I mean, I just don't know. We sure don't wanna spin ourselves in a position, we go back to council and say we're short funded, you know, trying to get through the shell building project. Or paying interest, or how we meet there. That's what concerns me. I don't wanna be fiscally responsible in this decision.
So I would say my best guess is that 2026 is when the Lehigh TIF will start rolling funding into our coffers.
And that would be 10%, right?
That first year be 10%. 2023, they've completed construction this year, so it will be assessed as being an operating facility January of 24. So first taxes due on that will come in 25, and that's the first year the abatement will kick in at 100%. So 2026.
Oh, it's 100%, right?
It's 100% the first year. So in 2026, the abatement will start the first stage rolling off. So we will get, as you say, about 10% of the property taxes coming in.
So we're at least 3 to 4 years away from revenue.
Yeah. So, and that's one of the questions is, as we move into the shell building, under the RFP process, as you guys, we've got a subcommittee, as the subcommittee examines the proposal, so we'll talk about this a little bit. You can make decisions based on quality of construction, timing of construction, and also the financing package that's put together. There's gonna be interest either way, right, Scott? It's whether we pay it ourselves on an ongoing basis or whether the contractor kind of carries in the interest for us for a couple of years, but then ultimately charges us for it, so.
Right.
We'll see what.
Well, just, you've got a long lifespan here before our income, so I don't know what the rate. I think we wanna sit on some reserves between now and then to not be in a position to be back asking for some type of additional funding from another source in the county, would be my concern.
What kind of time frame does the shell building start? Feeling?
We've got to have a commitment by the end of June, correct?
We've got to have a commitment, gotta have a contract in place by the end of June.
Okay.
The actual construction needs to be completed, where was it? I saw it here. Completed by July of 2025, so which is pretty close to 26. We could, potentially put off.
So it's basically almost gonna be a wash in the meantime.
Yeah, they come pretty close, and
Right.
depending on how if we were to undertake debt financing, and again, we're kind of straying from this question. If we were to undertake debt financing, you could certainly set up a bond in a way that defers interest payments until after 2026. You can capitalize interest if you need to. So you're asking a good big picture question, but on the agenda right now, I guess I'd bring us back and say we've got a smaller question on whether we want to fund the cost of doing the permitting, the modeling and the permitting for the small structure on Meridian Road.
How long are permits good?
How long are,
I'm sorry, the permits.
they, I'm shooting a little from the hip on that question, so I'll acknowledge that. My recollection is 2 to 3 years.
2 to 3.
And so you're gonna be, best case scenario, probably the end of this year for that permit to be activated. So, I mean, say the end of 23, that should take you to probably the end of 25, maybe into 26 for the permit to be valid.
I think I'd make a motion that we table this until we get through the actual application process, and maybe we can see a bid and what our commitments are gonna be there, and maybe we won't even, maybe it's out of our realm, we can even go through with the show, but I mean, if something unforeseen is in that, and then we can go back and look at some of these smaller projects.
Okay.
Might-
So is that a motion on,
Yeah.
okay, so there's a motion on the table to table action at this time on the proposal, on the pros contract to carry out the permitting and modeling.
Cause I think that's contingent, we'd be looking at paying for the structure too, if we do the permitting, we're kind of gonna be tailored into that commitment too, right?
I think it's applied, yeah.
So I mean, to me, I'd be more comfortable to see where we're at with the bigger project. And that seems like that's gonna be a question answered within the next couple of months.
It's not tabled indefinitely.
No.
We're talking about for a period of allowing us to see what this shell building is gonna actually impact us financially.
Yeah, that's right. Perfectly comfortable.
I agree with everything you said about the situation, but I don't want to stop this Meridian Road. It's a mess.
No.
I definitely want to get that done. I mean, it needs done terribly.
Yeah, but it's red. It's as bad as Mill Creek.
It's horrible.
Well, we approved the paving on it, I mean, we just took
Yeah,
this
I
other.
Yeah, but there's still the issue of the bridge, or the culvert, because it is a bridge deck, and it's actually on hand-laid stone. And so, the question is can we put a load limit on it, I guess, to still have, because they have truck traffic, just like Mill Creek does. So,
Yeah, jurisdictionally, the city of Mitchell would have to
do this.
do that, because they would have jurisdiction on the road, and given it's a small structure. I just make one observation, and I appreciate where you're coming from, Scott. Having the permit secured would enable a replacement to happen more quickly, should something happen and necessitate a more rapid replacement of the structure, given that it's not in good condition. Hopefully, you don't have any issues that you can replace it, kind of on your schedule, but every so often things happen, that things get bad more quickly than anticipated, and, having the permit in hand would enable a more rapid replacement, should, a negative circumstance
Yeah, I
arise.
guess that's the reason why I asked the question
Yeah.
about how long the
Which
permits
was
are
a
good.
good question to
Because,
ask,
you know,
yes.
that way we have the permits available already to be able to do the project. We're just not committing to the project of doing the bridge just yet.
But we still have the outlay for permits.
And to that question, to get a more specific answer, if you wanted to table till next meeting, you know, month delay is not gonna hurt you that much, but I could provide a more specific answer. And so you'd have that information. So instead of going off my memory, I could give you a more firm answer on how long that permit would last.
I think we could at least postpone it till
Yeah, I would
the next
second.
meeting.
I would second
Yeah,
Scott's, I would second Scott's, motion.
Yeah.
All right, hold on, let me make sure I know what I'm saying here. So we have a motion to table for 1 month, action on the contract for the permitting and modeling. Motion made by Scott and seconded by Tim. I think I've got that. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Okay, then we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor of the motion to table, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Abstentions, like sign. Motion passes 5-0. And so, we are getting ready to go into the